So this band you love puts out a new album and it's shit. Like irritable bowel syndrome, morning after a Vindaloo shit. Is the production bad? No, it's better than it's ever been. Can they still play their instruments? Yes, they're tighter than all the albums before. So what gives? Well, say you're a band and you're playing in shitty bars with no hope for fame and you get picked up by a label and suddenly you're knee deep in cash and pussy. Now, you're probably going to put out some really fucking good stuff around that time because finally you have good instruments and a decent manager and you're not afraid of rejection anymore because people are literally climbing over each other to blow you. So you keep this up for a few years and put out some more music and yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's more of what you were doing before, but it's good, man. Keep it up. And one day you're smoking on your German-engineered robo-bong and you think, no, I'm a fucking creative. I can do whatever I want. Now, this is a crossroads in any creative field, and you can find 1,000 examples of this in books, video games, all sorts, not just music. A person or a company has to decide between doing what they've just been doing and playing it safe, but possibly boring their audience, or they can risk doing something completely new and either bringing their audience with them or alienating everyone. So you decide you're going to do something absolutely fucking balls to the wall crazy and depart from your previous music. And finally the album's done, and it's pretty weird, man, but you're proud of it because you made something completely different to your old stuff, and your fans will love it. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And when they do, it's probably because you're very clever and multi-talented and good at whatever it is you're doing. And when they don't, it might be because you're a one-trick pony. In these cases, people were only usually listening to your stuff or reading your books because you do one thing very, very well, like harmonies or sex scenes or whatever. And when you try to do something else, your audience responds, yeah, this is alright, but more tits please, yeah? So a big problem then. How do you know whether to keep on with what you've always been doing, or glue a fucking trumpet to your head and get your balls out? Well, you can't. There's literally no way to know. If you talk to any successful creative person, they'll usually tell you that they have no idea how they do what they do. Unless they're very, very sociopathic, no creative sits in their bedroom laying each musical note down thinking, yeah, I'll put this one in here so the fans will love me. They just make something they like and they hope other people will like it too. And when it is contrived, when we know someone is doing something just because they can make cash out of it with no redeeming features whatsoever, we get angry. Oh boy, do we get angry. If there's anyone alive who should employ a beautiful Italian woman to follow them around all day giving them handjobs, it's J.J. Abrams. Because The Force Awakens could have been fucking terrible, and it wasn't, because he actually understood what fans liked about Star Wars, and he did some more of it. Look, I'm sure we've all felt like we're trying really hard at something creative and no one gives a fuck, but I bet that's an absolute walk in the park compared to what it must be like having an enormous audience behind you and being absolutely terrified of alienating them. So when people you love do branch out and do something a little experimental, it's brave of them. The new Modest Mouse album was not their best, but they're clever guys, they were just doing their thing. It's good that they're experimenting, but oh my god, please come back soon. Taste is really fickle, and there seems to be no way if you're putting something out to know how it's going to be received. It's always a gamble. So if your favourite band puts out a dud, or if Ken Levine's next project turns out to be dog shit, that's okay, they fucked up, but it doesn't stop BioShock being incredible. 2001 A Space Odyssey got some pretty bad reviews when it first came out. No one really gave too much of a shit about Moby Dick until Herman Melville actually died. Taste is weird. Oh yeah, there's the other factor here, not really a major one, but cash. Unless you're one of the less than 1% of people living off of being creative, you're probably pretty worried about money most of the time. Well, if you've got shitloads of fans, you probably don't want to piss them off by doing something crazy, because yeah, it might be fun putting out an album of nothing but drum solos and screaming, but it's going to be pretty hard to sell that shit, and crack is an expensive pastime. This is June. Frank Herbert decided to write some more books afterwards, and they were pretty good too, including a fucking worm god who lives for 4,000 years. And then one day, someone came to Frank Herbert's son and said, hey, do you want to write some more books in the same universe? And his son quite rightly said, nah, I don't think I could really live up to my father's legacy, and besides, I have artistic integrity and I believe. And they replied, yeah, but do you like money? And he said, how much money are we talking about? And they were awful books. Why? He seems like a nice guy, but he wasn't Frank Herbert. It's almost impossible to live on someone else's legacy. People try all the time. Read the books some other sci-fi writers tried to write in the Foundation universe, or that Hitchhiker's Guidebook after Douglas Adams died, or just Yoko Ono. Just Yoko fucking Ono! Look, we're all going to be dead pretty soon anyway. People are fickle. Taste is fickle. In the meantime, just make good shit, and if people like it, they'll let you know. And if you want to try some new shit, they'll definitely let you know if they don't like it. Dear God, will they?